For this week's video, I thought it'd be really fun to record my Peace Talks readathon that I'm doing for Realmathon this weekend. So on the 15th and 16th, it's Peace Talks during Realmathon, which basically means that you get 10 more points for any books that you read during this period. And so there's many people reading and doing a readathon weekend, and I thought this would be perfect to try and tackle some of the longer books in my TBR and basically just sit down and read and react to the books that I am reading as well. So I'm going to pick one of the books out of my TBR, my Cyrus TBR, that to read today on the 15th, and tomorrow on the 16th I'll pick another one. I'm hoping to read 2 books today actually, so cross fingers, but basically this video will just be me reading and reacting to the books that I've read. Again, before we start, just a quick plea from me. If you like my videos, please follow me on my Instagram and TikTok as well, where I post more bookish content. Okay, let's get started. So the first book I'm going to read is A Taste of Golden Iron. I've been really wanting to read this for a while. I also talked about it in the 4 books I want to read in April. So I thought this weekend would be the perfect chance to read it, as it's quite a long book. So let's get started, shall we? Okay, cool. So I'm just starting A Taste of Golden Iron. It's 524 pages. That's a pretty long read, so I'm guessing this will be the only book I read today. But I've heard it's amazing, so I'm not going to complain. And yeah, I'll see you after I finish the first chapter. Okay, so I just finished the first chapter of A Taste of Golden Iron, and yeah, okay, let's talk about it. So I realized that I haven't actually discussed what A Taste of Golden Iron is about. So A Taste of Golden Iron centers around Kadu, who is the brother of he's a sultan who happens to be his older sister, and he basically gets into a bit of trouble with his older sister, and people think that he is now a traitor to the crown. To solve this issue, he decides he's going to single-handedly complete this mission, and he does this with his new personal guard, Evermore, who doesn't like him, and that's where it goes from there. This is a fantasy gay romance, and everyone's been raving about it and people love it. Now, I just finished the first chapter and I have some thoughts. Number 1, it's hella long. The first chapter is really long. So the chapters in this book are super long. Overall, there is, I think, roughly 16 chapters. And the first chapter alone was, let me just look it up. Yeah. So the first chapter alone was 33 pages, right? And that's like, it's actually quite, I'm not gonna lie, that's actually quite a long chapter compared to contemporary romances, so it definitely has, yeah, it's definitely longer. Is that a bad thing? No, I actually really like it because there was a lot of action in the first chapter, a lot of detail, a lot of things that were coming into it. So from the first chapter, we find out that Kadu, I know I'm gonna like him. Kadu's quite an emotional character. He's quite emotional, he's quite feeling. Kadu is very emotional, and I actually really like that. He clearly suffers from anxiety. We see that in the first chapter because he feels rather anxious over these rumors and what's happening. And he's just, I feel like I'm going to really like Kadu. He seems like a soft soul. I like his sister as well. I like the fact that in the first chapter, with everything going on, she's more angry with the fact that he didn't trust her rather than anything else that's going on. I'm very interested to see what's happening because right now Kadu's being accused of treason, and there's no real evidence to why he's being accused of this. And he's in a predicament. Like, stuff has gone on. He now has a life in his hands. Has a new personal guard as well. He has so many stuff that has come out of this, all from this accusation of being a traitor. And my man is stressed, and I'm stressed for him because it literally has seemed like it's come out of nowhere. And I'm really interested to see like what is the plot, what is happening. In terms of the fantasy element of this, the world building is really interesting. Rather than giving us like a bunch of facts straight up, being like, this is the world, the author has really just seeped it into its writing. So we find out bits and pieces here about the world and the structures and the rules and everything that's happening, and how the kingdom is run. And what I also find really interesting is it's very much slipped in that magic is into this. So Kadu is a metal taster, so he can, I think that's what they call it, but he touches metal and he touches anything at metal and he can basically like taste it, which is just, again, this is the first chapter, so they're probably going to dive into that a little bit more, but it was just very interesting to read that, because it's like, oh, okay, so you have people with magic in this world as well. That's the fantasy element of it. Overall, the story itself is really good, and what I also find really interesting is I'm not struggling to read this. With fantasy, I always find that I struggle to read it because there's so much world building and so many words in it, and so many words that I don't understand. I'm sitting there like, I feel like an idiot, I don't want to read this anymore. That's just my personal opinion. That's something that I struggle with fantasy. That's the reason why I lean more towards romantasy as well. But I'm actually not struggling to read this. I really did love the first chapter. It did take me a while because I got a little bit distracted with other things. But yeah, it's just been the first chapter is captivating, and I really want to know what is happening. Why my man is being accused of being a traitor. How he's going to get himself out of this predicament. And now, in the second chapter, we are seeing Evermore. So, yeah. Okay, so I will see you when I'm halfway through the book. And hopefully I'm still enjoying it. Okay, so Evermore. So I called him Evermore before. That's not his name. Evermore. My man Evermore is judging Kadu. Judging hard. Everything that he does, he is judging him. Like everything. First meeting, just judgment after judgment after judgment. And to be completely honest, again, this judgment's understandable. In his eyes, Kadu has just done something awful, and it's resulted in him losing something as well. And so this is complete, like everything that he is feeling and actually like thinking is completely understandable. I just love it because the judgment is real. Like he's judging him on having coffee in the morning. Because he's like, you should be modest and more humble instead of having coffee so early in the morning. Literally, there's an entire paragraph right here where he is judging him for having coffee. And I feel attacked because I'm like, I have coffee every morning. Every morning. To be honest, again, I'm loving it. I'm loving this character. I like not pettiness, but I don't know if pettiness is the right word. But the judgment, 10 out of 10. Okay, so I'm officially halfway through the book and I have some thoughts. First thought, if you want a slow burn, and I mean a slow burn, this is the book. This is the book. We are 220 pages in and the romance hasn't kicked in at all yet. It's still about them trying to understand each other. They are now just learning to understand each other. So if you're expecting like a quick romance, this is not it. It is definitely not it. I knew that it was a slow burn, like I had been informed that it was a slow burn, but this is a different type of slow burn. Like, it's so slow that there's not even like a spark yet. Like, actually, no. Okay, I take that back. There is a spark. It's just very, very small, you know? It's not a bad thing. I'm not complaining. It's just, if you're looking for a fast romance, this isn't it. The mystery at the moment is rather interesting. I feel as though the mystery is very detailed. Why this is so important to fix and what's happening and everything why this mystery needs to be solved and everything that's revolved around it is actually very, very, very interesting. So I'm really hyped to see how they're going to solve that. In terms of the main character, I genuinely feel for Kado. I genuinely feel for him. He is in a situation where he's dealing with a mental illness in a land where mental illnesses just aren't a thing, and he genuinely thinks he's one type of way when he actually isn't. I will say this, if you have anxiety and you get triggered fairly easily, then I would probably be very cautious about reading this book. I kind of wish that the people like around me had informed me, like my sister had read it. Like, I kind of wish that someone had told me like, oh yeah, he has anxiety, and it really goes into detail, because there's some points where he was describing his anxiety and it really was like reading a diary. It was like reading a diary. It was like reading a journal. It was like reading my diary and journal. It just felt so personal, and I really commend the author for that, because it was like, wow, you really have dived and really captured what it feels like to have this mental illness. Overall, when it comes to like the friendships as well, or the relationships, I really like the fact that Kado has a support system. His sister at this point is kind of failing, in my opinion. Like, his sister isn't really there as much as I would like her to be, but the people around him are, so I really like that. Like, the people around him really do care and love for him and have love for him, and I really do generally, I just love that. I love the friendships that are evolving, and him slowly, I'm hoping slowly coming to terms with it as well, because like I said, the book is very slow. The book is extremely detailed as well, very detailed. Again, overall, I'm currently very much enjoying it. I do actually want to see how this ends, and I really do want to see the romance blossoming. Like, it's just beginning to get somewhere, so I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. Yeah, also it had one of my favorite like tropes in it, which is a hair washing scene. I love those scenes. Like, it's such a sexual, non-sexual scene that is just so good. And they, again, chef's kiss, they did it, and it was like, oh, this is actually really sweet. So I really like that. Anyway, it's close to midnight, so my plan to read this book in a day failed, but I will finish this off tomorrow, and hopefully I'll be able to read 2 more. I don't know what I'm going to read tomorrow, what the other 2 books are. Again, I'm such a mood reader that I will pick a book out of the TBR and then just, like, it all depends on what I'm feeling. I do think I will definitely be doing a defense book tomorrow, though. Just because this book, A Taste of Golden Iron, is an attack book, so I'll definitely be doing a defense tomorrow. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow, bright and early, hopefully. I'm such a night owl though, like I generally just don't wake up early, but I'm really hoping, cross fingers, I wake up early tomorrow, because I would love to read 2 books tomorrow and finish A Taste of Golden Iron. So, see you tomorrow. Okay, so it's the next day. Surprisingly enough, after I signed off yesterday, I read another chapter because I just got really into it. So I'm currently on chapter 11. I have 5 chapters left, and it's starting to heat up. It's starting to get somewhere. I say starting to get somewhere, like the book hasn't been interesting. I really need to watch that, because the book has been really interesting and I have been really into it. Like, if the book hadn't been interesting, I would have stopped a long time ago, and I'm already more than halfway. I think I'm like 68%. So I cannot wait to finish it, and I will see you when I finally ended this book. I say finally again, when I finally finish this book. It's just because, I think it's because I keep on saying it. I keep on saying finally, and we're getting somewhere because it's really, really long, and I haven't read a long book in a very long time. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm loving the characters, I'm loving the plot, I'm loving the world building, and I just kind of want to know what is happening. Like, I want the mystery to be solved, I want the romance to fully blossom, because right now it's just a bud. I want it to blossom because I actually love the two main characters as well. I think they're so cool. Anyway, let's do it. Okay, so I just finished A Taste of Golden Iron, and right off the bat, 5 stars. 5 stars. This is a 5-star book. This is a 5-star romantasy. I have so many thoughts. Firstly, the book is long, and I can see why some people would look at the page count and be like, oh my god, what? Like, that's such a long book. But when you get really into it, it doesn't feel like it. So it took, like, the first 2 chapters were a bit slow, but by the time, like, I had hit chapter 3, I was involved, I was invested, and then it just flew by. Like, it didn't feel like a 400-500 page book. I say 400 500 because I'm reading it on Libby, the app, and so the page numbers change depending on how large the font is, and so it's really difficult to, I don't actually know the correct page count, but it's a 400-500 page book, so I can imagine that can be a little bit off-putting. But I would say don't be like put off by the page count. Just read it at your own pace, because you will enjoy it. I loved it. I loved the world building, I loved the romance, I loved the friendship, I loved the politics of it as well. I'm not a politics person. Like, I don't go out my way to read books that include like heavy politics in it. But with this book, the author did it so well that you don't actually really feel it. Like, you learn bits about the politics here and the world here, and who's important and who's not important, and the law and what royalty has to do. Like, you learn about that, but it's not like shoved in your face. It's very much trickled into the storyline and into the world building and into the conversations, that by the end of it you sort of learn who's what and what's the law is, purely just by picking up here and there, which is, I think, is like the correct way to do things. I think it's just a brilliant way to do things. Okay, so I'm gonna go do what I usually do when I review a book. So I'm going to rate all of the characters. I'm gonna rate the 2 main characters out of 5, the plot, the side characters, and the romance. Okay, so first thing with Kado, I love the discussion around his anxiety and how much his anxiety was like crippling him as well. He was so self-doubting and he had such low self-esteem, which is something that anxiety can cause. As a person who suffers from anxiety, that is something that I also struggle with. So it was lovely seeing a character who also had that same sort of struggle that I did, and I could really relate to him as well. I also just loved the fact that he had these moments where he was self-doubting, but then he also knew how to flirt as well. I was just like, boss move. I love that. He's a character you will fall in love with. He's a character that you really are like. For me personally, I was looking at Kado being like, I would be friends with you. Like, I can see why you have so many loyal people around you, so many people who want to protect you, so many people who want to care about you, because you're such a person that you can actually fall for. Like, you know how in books people are like, oh, everyone just falls for this person, and you're just sitting there like, huh, okay. With Kado, you can see it. It's understandable. You can see why people fall for him, because I fell for him. I was like, not in a romantic way, but it was like, I can definitely see the appeal of you and why people love you. And then with Evemir, I also gave him a 5 out of 5. For me, Evemir is like the perfect example of a bodyguard with honor and duty, you know, like who has a very high sense of duty and honor. he was very open about the fact that he would die for Kado. Even before the romance hit, he was like, this is my role, this is an honor, this is my position, this is something that I take a lot of pride in. And I really respected him for it. Even though he was quite judgmental of Kado in the beginning and he was quite petty, at times, or like he was very judgmental, I understood where he was coming from and what he was feeling and the emotions that were behind his judgmental behavior. And I also loved the fact that he had such strong character development. Not gonna lie, everyone in this book, bar like a couple of people, the leads in this book really had character development. By the end of the book, they had changed as human beings. So Kado was more in tune with himself and he was more confident. And then you have Yvemir, who was more emotional. So Yvemir as a character doesn't really talk about his emotions. He really struggles with talking about his emotions and what he's feeling and everything. Like he's a one word answer man, right? And I loved the fact that that was an issue because I understood both of them. So when it comes to Kado and Yvemir's relationship, the romance, Kado got really frustrated with Yvemir not saying what he was feeling. He literally was like, just tell me what you're feeling, tell me what you're thinking. And Yvemir on the other hand was like, I'm not very good at expressing myself. And so I really liked the fact that they both went out their way to try and fix that issue and try to understand each other a little bit more. Because again, I understood both sides. Like if you're not a talkative person, it's pretty hard to like express yourself. But then on the other side, I always find that with like my anxiety and stuff, I really want people to just say what they're thinking, because if you say something in a certain tone, my anxiety kicks in and goes, oh, they must really like dislike you now, or something, there's something else behind that tone, they're thinking something, they're judging you, and it just picks up on like the smallest things to break apart. And so it's just easier for someone to just tell you what they are thinking. And so that's the reason why I really like blunt people as well, because I'm like, if you're blunt to me, I know exactly what you're thinking. And so with Kado, I understood why he got frustrated. And so yeah, back to Yvemir. I just loved him. I loved his loyalty. I loved the duty. And oh, he was so smooth as well. Like his honesty, you know when someone's so honest about their, like he eventually becomes more honest about his emotions. And when he became more honest about his emotions and his feelings, it literally resulted in being so smooth and dropping some romantic ass lines. Because in his mind, he was just saying what he was like feeling, but he dropped some lines that I was like, oh, you're making a girl blush. Stop it. When it comes to the side characters, Tadic was probably my favorite. I thought it was really funny. I love the fact that he had, again, a character development. When you first start the book, you think he's going to be one type of character, but then he slowly comes out of the shell and he becomes something else, and he becomes a person that you really like. I could see him, he was just the fun character. He was the fun, jokey character, and I really liked him, and I really liked what he did, and I really liked the friendship that came out at the end of it. There's only one character I really particularly didn't like, and I know we were supposed to like her, but I just didn't, and that's Kado's sister, the Sultan. I didn't like her because every single time Kado came to her with an issue, it seemed like she was so dismissive of him, and I just didn't mess with that. She was so dismissive. She was just like, and then not only was she dismissive, but she also kind of took the piss out of him as well, and I just didn't mess with that. I was like, stop it, just enough. And at the end of the book, that she also has a character arc, and she learns more, but it was also just a little bit this is a little bit too late. You really should have been thinking with your head rather than anything else. It was understandable what she was doing, but at the same time, it was like, girl, you are the Sultan, think with your head. And on top of that, maybe trust your family more than anybody else, because it just didn't seem like, it literally seemed like she did not trust Kado at all. It was the weirdest thing. It was like he made one mistake, and then not even he made a mistake was caused, stuff happened, and she immediately immediately just turned the punishment to him. And it was like, what about the other people? And it was just like, no, he's being punished. And I just sat there being like, enough. Okay, no, I don't like you. Don't like you as a character. And when she continued to just like make fun of my man, I was like, stop it. Enough. You're done. Cut. X. You're a loser. Don't like you. Okay, so then when it comes to the plot again is a 5 out of 5. I think it's very interesting because I was expecting a little bit more action, but I also thought I kind of liked the way the mystery and what was happening was written, because it felt more realistic, that everything didn't involve in like action-packed scenes and didn't like end up in like fight scenes and death and blood. It was more like, this is a secret mission that we are trying to do so that no panic is caused, and it really did end up like that, and I really enjoyed it as well. Yeah, and it wasn't a too complicated plot either. It wasn't like a really complicated plot. You can semi-guess what's happening. Like, I semi-guessed what was happening or what the ending was, but still, it was so interesting to read what was going on in the mystery and who was behind it and why they were behind it, that even though I was like, yeah, I kind of guessed that, I was still like, oh wait, oh okay, oh, a little bit of a plot twist there. Sorry, a little bit of a, not even a plot twist, like, oh, a little bit of a plot thickening. Like, it was a little bit, I don't know how to describe it, but overall, even though I could kind of guess what was happening, it was still very interesting to read. And I think because of the writing style and the way the author took their time to really dive into the mystery and really like not rush it. I feel as though if this book was a novella, then the plot would have been really disappointing. But the fact that there was so much detail and the author really did take time for you to literally watch out this mystery, read this mystery play out. Even though I could kind of guess the ending, I was still happy with it. So, although I couldn't guess the entire ending, I could guess who was behind it, but I couldn't guess what the entire plot. I think that's it. I couldn't guess the entire plot, so I actually really enjoyed that. Sorry, I'm rambling, but overall, the plot was a 5 out of 5. I just generally enjoyed the book. Finally, the romance and the spice. So, just a warning, there's barely any spice in this. I'd give the spice like a 2. If you want a really spicy book, this isn't it. When it comes to the romance, however, 5 out of 5, because this is a slow burn. And I know people are going to be like, what do you mean by slow burn? I mean that it's so slow that I was 60% of the way through the book before either of the characters realized that there was other, like, you could see it here and there, but the romantic element of the relationship didn't really kick in. But I actually really liked that, because this romance was really and truly like strangers to friends to lovers, you know? Like, it wasn't strangers to lovers where it was like, oh, instant connection, all of a sudden, bam, we are now bang bang wiggling everywhere, you know? It wasn't like that. It was literally like, okay, we are strangers, let's learn to be friends. Okay, now that we are friends, let's actually like stay in the friendship and really see how we connect. Oh wait, we've connected a lot now that we are lovers, you know? It wasn't quick, and I really enjoyed that, because a slow burn's underrated. I feel like nowadays a lot of writers do like insta attraction and insta love, but with these two, there wasn't like an insta attraction. It wasn't like the moment they saw each other they were like, oh my god, I want to get inside your pants. That wasn't it. And it wasn't like an insta love being like, oh my god, the stars have aligned now that I see you. It wasn't that. It was literally like, this is my job, and Gado was busy being like, oh my god, I've mucked up big time. So Gado was there being like, oh my god, I mucked up big time, and Eve was like, this is my job. I'm only here for my job. So that's like, that goes on for like a good couple of chapters before Eve is like, okay, maybe I can be friends, and Kado's being like, we should be friends. And even then, it was just, the friendship part of it really did take a couple of chapters. So you do see every part of their relationship. Like, you really do get to see and read and really dive into each stage. It isn't like they were strangers or just work colleagues or like prince/bodyguard for a chapter. No, they were prince/bodyguard and that's it for a good 5 chapters. I would say 5 to 6 chapters. And then they became friends from like 5 to possibly 8. And then from 8 it was like, oh, crush, mutual pining, you know? Oh, that's another thing. This book has a lot of mutual pining. When they hit the point of like, oh, I actually like you, the mutual pining's there. And the author has thrown in some scenes that I love. So she threw in like hair washing scenes, kiss to distract the enemy scenes, sparring scene as well, which I thought was hilarious. Like she threw in like a lot of scenes that like really just cemented their relationships and were milestones in their relationship as well, which I really appreciated and I really enjoyed reading. So the romance is there. It may be slow and you may think, oh my god, when is the romance going to kick in? But it does kick in, and when it does kick in, it's really beautiful to read. Overall, this book is a 5-star, and I'm so glad I read it over this weekend, because at first I was like, oh, maybe I've made the wrong decision by reading a long book, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. So the next book that I'm planning on reading over Peace Talks is I'm going to read The Sunny Disposition by Deanna Gray. Yeah, I've really been wanting to read this book for a while now, so I think this is the perfect time to read it. I think it's like a short book. I think it's under 300 pages. People have been raving about it, and it features a black heroine, I think, from what I've heard. So, and it's a hockey romance. Come on now, maybe time to step out of the fantasy world for a couple of hours and read a cute little hockey romance. So yeah, gonna read that next. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so I had a quick nap. I always have a quick nap on Sundays, and so now I'm back to read Sunny Disposition. Yeah. I've heard some great things about this book. So it's a hockey romance. I don't know anything else about it except there's a hockey romance. Apparently it's really good. The romance is there. The romance hits it. So let's get reading. There's 35 chapters. 34 chapters and 2 epilogues. So okay, stop. I have to read this. This is the first line in the book, and it goes, "For the longest time I believed we only got one incredible life-changing thing in our lives. Hockey was mine, but then I got lucky. I met her and everything changed." That is actually really cute. Oh, wow. Okay, that's really cute. Wow. Okay, so I just finished the first chapter, and wow, does it end on a weird note. Okay, so in the first chapter you meet Finn, and he's playing a hockey game, and he's really excited to meet a girl that he's been chatting to online for I don't know how long, but he's just super nervous and super excited. He then goes to meet her after the game, only to get beaten up, and yeah, that's how the story goes. It's just a little bit mad, like, and this is all in the first chapter. I actually kind of love it, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, let's continue, because I have a feeling I'm gonna finish this fairly quickly, because it's only 280 chapters. Sorry, not 280 chapters, God. 280 pages. So that's not a lot of pages at all. I didn't realise it was that short, so I feel like I'm probably going to finish this before 9, maybe 10. Yeah. Then I'll start another book. Yeah. So let's do it. the spice is giving. The spice is there. And it's giving, and it's very here. God damn. After getting barely any spice in A Taste of Golden Iron, I actually kind of need this. Like, okay, so I'm officially halfway through Sunny Disposition, and yeah, I have some thoughts. Firstly, this book has been marketed a certain type of way on Book Talk, and it wasn't the way I was expecting. It's a lot deeper than I thought it was going to be. So without giving too much away, we have... Sorry, the name Darius is stuck in my head. We have Finn, who went through something and is now trying to get over it and sort of move on. And then you also have Naomi, who's this sunshiny, happy person, but is also seems to have this past as well. I don't want to give too much away about the plot or what's happening, but it's a lot deeper than I expected. I thought this was going to be like a hockey sports romance, but it's actually like, no, we're going to be talking about mental health and recovery and all this other stuff that's it's not heavy, but it was just surprising. It was like, oh, okay, so this is the plot. Wow, okay. I'm not complaining. I actually am very much enjoying it. I like Finn. I really like Finn. I think just putting him underneath the stereotype of like being grumpy is such an understatement. He's not grumpy as much as he is shy. So, okay. There are like two types of grumpy in the grumpy romance, in my opinion. You have grumpy in the sense of they're grumpy because something has happened to them and therefore they're just like, you know what, burn the world to the ground, I don't care. And then you have grumpy in the sense of, no, I'm just socially awkward and I don't know what to say, and my go-to is frowning, so people just think I'm grumpy. And that's Finn. Finn's go-to expression is frowning, which for someone who also semi does that at times, like my go-to expression isn't smiling, it's always just like that right there is my go-to facial expression. It's like, and people think, I've had people come up to me and be like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Why? And they're just like, you just look sad. And I'm like, okay, all right, firstly, you just don't go around calling people sad. And secondly, yeah, that's just my face. And that's Finn. And then you have, and I think it's actually quite sweet that Finn's aware of that, and he's now actively like in the book trying to fix that or trying to change that. Then you have Naomi, whose motto is like smile through the hard times, which I think is really amazing because she generally does that. She's so lovely. She's such a lovely heroine, and she's so sweet and kind, and she just wants to help, and she's so strong as well, in the sense, like, you can tell she's already been through some stuff. We don't actually know, but she's been through some stuff, but she's still pushing through, and she's still this strong, kind person. And I really think they both could use each other right now, because Finn's rather assertive. He's like, you should do this. No, like, you deserve better, you should do it. And then you have Naomi, who's like, hey, look at the fun side of life, like, have a little fun, be happy, like, you know. So I can already see the connection between them, and I'm already rooting for them as a couple. They've had a couple of moments so far, here and there, and I really like it. I also love the fact that this book is leaning more towards misunderstanding to lovers. So not enemies or dislike, it's just like, no, you misunderstood the way that I am, and you thought that I hated you, but actually that's not the case. And I can see it going to like misunderstanding to lovers, which again, underrated trope. It's so much fun. It's actually quite cute, because especially when it's a dual POV and you can read both sides, it's just adorable. I'm liking the plot. I'm liking how the pace of the book as well. It's not going too fast and it's not going too slow either. I'm not getting bored. It's going at just the right pace. I love the friendship group as well that's developing. You have Henrik, Lincoln and Sam, and Finn and Naomi, and the friendship group that's forming between them is actually quite sweet. I really like hockey I think that's one of the appeals of a sports romance for me, is the friendship and camaraderie between the team or between the guys in the group, and you can really feel it here. So I remember when I was reading Icebreaker, which I didn't particularly like it was an okay book, but I kept on feeling I kind of wish we got to see more of the friendship group here, or I kind of would like to see more of them actually be friends. I don't know why, I just had that feeling, but in this one you can generally see it. These guys have been friends and brothers for years, and you feel it when you're reading it. It's actually quite sweet. They have these cute little things like mystery murder Sundays and stuff like that, and so I really am enjoying the friendship part of it as well, and how easy Naomi has slipped into their friendship. Something that surprised me though, and I don't know if it's said in the book or in the title, but let me just double check. Yeah, it's not said in the title or anything, but not only is this a hockey romance, but it's a hockey college romance. This is set in university. I was shocked at how old they were, and the fact that they were in university. I don't know why, but I thought that they were professionals. I thought he was in the hockey league and a celebrity, but in actuality he's at university. Finn's at university doing an English degree. Finn's at university doing an English degree. So is Naomi. Naomi's at university doing a degree as well. So I was just shocked by how old they are. I don't know why, but in my head I was oh, they're professionals. They're not. They're younger. Yeah, they're in university. Not a bad thing. I do love a new adult book every now and again, just a little bit like her, so I'm going to continue reading. I really hope that I'll be able to finish this by the end of the day. I keep on getting distracted by stuff. I was supposed to be reading, and then my sister called, and we ended up talking for 45 minutes about about a girl getting kicked out of a concert or the theatre production in Manchester. If you don't know, go see that video on TikTok. It's mad. But I really hope to finish this by the end of the day, and hopefully read something else as well. I have another book that's 150 pages that I would actually kind of like to tackle. So yeah, let's continue reading. Oh, okay, so I just finished my last book for the Peace Talks, because there's only an hour left, so I don't think I'm going to be reading another book. But Sunny Disposition, a solid 4 stars. I actually really enjoyed it. It was very cute. There's no third act breakup, which I was shocked at, because usually that's how it goes. But yeah, there's no third act breakup, and it was really cute. There was a lot more to it than I thought there was going to be. I thought it was going to be a hockey romance, and that's basically it. But there was a lot more. It was discussion of anxiety and a bit of mental health and grieving, both losing yourself and losing somebody else as well, rebuilding yourself. I generally just really enjoyed it. So like I did with the last one, I'm going to go through the list. So first, I gave Naomi a 4-star. I really liked her. I could see myself being friends with her. She was really sunshiny, but then when you found out the reason why she smiled all the time, it kind of made it bittersweet. But it was also you're just really strong and really lovely. And she was such a likable heroine as well. She's a very likable heroine. And then when it comes to Finn, definitely a 4 out of 5. I love the fact that he was shy grumpy instead of just grumpy angry. It was because he was shy, and I like the fact that he even denied the fact that he was shy. He didn't like the fact that he was shy, and so he denied it. But then Naomi was like, no, love, you're just shy. When it comes to the side characters, loved the boys, and I can see this being a series. I already know the second book is out, and I can't wait to read that, and I can't wait to read about the other boys as well, because it just seems they're just all lovable. They're so lovable, and I just want to read about them falling in love. I think that's going to be really sweet. The plot was definitely a solid 4. The plot of them, I don't want to, again, I can't say too much without giving it away, but 2 people meeting, misunderstanding to lovers. It was just very cute. It was a very cute plot. There was, again, some deeper elements to it, but it was just very light. Like, it was a very light-hearted read. It was only 280 pages in the end, so it wasn't too deep, but it was also had an element of deepness. Like, on a level of deepness, on a scale of like 1 to 5, it was a solid 2, you know? Like, it was deep but not too deep. Whilst I feel like A Taste of Golden Iron was more of a 3/3.5. Does that make sense? So the plot was that the romance was a 5 out of 5 in my opinion. I thought their romance was so cute. It was so sweet. They were so understanding of each other, and they really did help their character development as well. Finn was trying to rebuild himself, and Naomi was there for every step. And Naomi was struggling with something as well, and Finn helped her overcome it. They both had character developments, and the romance between them was just there. I also love the fact that Finn is definitely a physical touch. Like, he doesn't really say a lot, but he cannot keep his hands off Naomi. He even says it. Like, he even says that he wants to say stuff, but instead he just kisses her, which I thought was really sweet. I always love a physical touch romance. Like, yeah, I always love a physical touch romance, and so that just really hit the spot. Yeah, it was just really sweet. The spice was there. A solid 4 out of 5. The spice hit. There wasn't a lot of spice scenes, but when it did, quality book. I can now see why people are raving about it so much, and I can see why so many people are obsessed with this series. I can see myself being obsessed with this series. I'm definitely going to read the next book soon because the first book hit, and I don't know who the next book is about, but I'm kind of hoping it's Lincoln. It possibly is Lincoln, but either way, very good book, and I can see it being an amazing series. So that is it. That is my vlog for the Peace Talks. I thought I was going to read more books, but instead I only read 2 books, but it was also 2 great books that I can see myself rereading in the future with both of them. I'm definitely going to continue reading The Sunny Disposition, and I'm going to check out more work from the author of A Taste of Golden Iron, because I loved that book, and I can see myself falling in love and reading more of her work in the future. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I shall see you next week for another swoon-worthy romance. Okay, bye!